Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my work table and welcome to my channel. Today I am working with the Grateful Heart kit from Softflex Company. It's not always in my budget to get this kit, but I was able to get it this month and I'm so glad that I did. I absolutely love everything about it, starting with this stunning Green Girls Studio. This looks like architectural salvage to me. The skeleton key lock, that you would see on an old castle or a vintage, like a Victorian painted lady. So I just love it, and I love the little message on the back, love is the key. So I mean, just for starters, that is amazing. And this is a mix of pinks and blues and turquoise, which is just absolutely gorgeous. I've pulled some things out, and I know by this point in the month there's been unboxings and reveals, and lots of channels have worked with this kit, so I'm not going to discuss everything that's in it, but you can see I've kind of pulled out some things that I think I'll be working with. And it was really amazing that we got the wonderful Softflex Company pink tourmaline color of beading wire in this kit, and crimp tubes, which are, in my opinion, the best on the market for the magical crimping plier. They're so great. And so what I start with is a little test. So I just went into my scrap bag of Softflex wire just to do a little test to see if 2 wires will go through all the beads, or which beads it will go through, and how things lay together. I've pulled out some seed beads from my stash, so that was just my little tester. Then I'll show you the seed beads that I've pulled out as well. I just have some Toho seed beads. They're glass, but they're in a metallic silver. And then I have these 11O seed beads that are matte rose, and they're crystal lined. These are really, really pretty, but look how beautifully they go with the collection this month, because seed beads are just workhorses in design. So this kit is just like inspiring me for bracelet art. It's one of my favorite things to make. One of our community members called me the bracelet queen, and I really love that, because I think I am. When you make a bracelet, you get to see the beads and enjoy the work, as opposed to earrings or a necklace where you're embellishing for other people. So when I really love a bead or a collection, it goes on my arm. The other thing I'll share with you that I've pulled out from my stash, I have this really cute lock and key toggle clasp that I think might make its way into my design. And I just could not resist the urge to add a key in with this gorgeous piece. I love this connector. I just love it so much. So I just went rummaging in my silver metal bin, and I found a few keys. This one has a little bail attached to it, just a few little keys. And again, I'm putting them out here for inspiration. Those are going to be kind of my final touches. And so let me also dump some seed beads out here, because that's going to probably start me off after I start off with a crimp. I have a basic plan. I did not do a sketch of this bracelet, but I want it to be really interesting. I want it to go from 2 strands into 1 strand. I'm going to start with 2 bracelet length pieces of that beautiful pink tourmaline, and one of the crimp tubes that came in the kit. I love the Softflex Company crimp tubes, and I love my magical crimping plier. It's my favorite way to crimp, and I find that I get the best crimps. There are a couple other tubes on the market that work, but I do find that I get the best crimps with this tool and the Softflex Company. They're just the best. And the other cool thing is I've always been able to fit 4 strands of the 49 strand bead stringing wire through this crimp tube. So that's what I will need. I'm going to feed 2 strands through the tube, and then I'm going to connect this directly to this connector. Now, normally I would do a jump ring here, but I have decided that I want to just connect it right to the connector. So making a loop, and then I'm going to get those other 2 ends to go back through the crimp tube. Get my pliers in here to help me so I can get my fingers out of the way. And one of the other things I love about the Soft Flex wire. It comes in so many beautiful colors, but it's not utilitarian looking. It's beautiful to let it show. So, you know, you can cover this with seed beads or run this through a wire guardian, but I always feel like the beautiful colors that this comes in just become part of my design. So I love that. So let's get a crimp in here. As you can see, I love getting 4 strands through. Okay, I've got my bracelet started, and I want to start off, I think, with a really big bead on this side. So I just have to decide. I was looking at this pink bead, but you know what? I think I want to cut these open, because you can never make anything or design anything when the beads are still on the little strings that they are shipped on. I want to be able to see them and play with them and decide what. And I love this strand of check glass beads. These are so cool. These are 7mm faceted check glass rounds. I love this size. I love this bead. I love this color. So I might even try that to start off with. Put a few of those here. Let's see. I didn't test. I don't think 4 strands will go through any of these beads, but I didn't test, and so I may have to trim my these tail wires really close. Let's see, does it 3 go in? Let's see. Yeah, only 3 go in, so that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and trim this really close. If it's possible, I like to feed them down through a couple of beads, but it's not always possible. So I have to decide if I want this one. I know I want to start out with a pink, so I have to decide if I want that one. Oh, that's so pretty. Or if I want to go bigger. Let me see. When I start making a bracelet pattern, for me, this is the most fun. Bracelet or necklace, any kind of a beading pattern. I could just do this forever. This is just so fun. I like the on and off. I wish you guys were here to help me decide. I feel like with these beads that they need a bead cap or something to frame the outside, and there are some beautiful ones in the box. So let's go for that. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, I'm going to go with that. And now I'm going to go to my seed beads and separate these strands. And I'm going to put a pink, silver, pink on each strand. And I'm doing that because I want to string one of these cylinder beads on each strand, and I wanted them to sit nicely next to each other. And so the seed beads just take up that little bit of space when they come together. So it looks like that. So they will lay next to each other. So that was kind of my plan, to go from a single bead to a double bead, and then I'm going to feed these back into single beads again. And I'll tell you, my other plan is to not put the toggle clasp. I like to do it sometimes right on the top of the bracelet when a clasp is this cute, but this was a little bit too busy next to that connector. So instead of doing it on the back, like on the, on the complete opposite of the top part of a bracelet, I think I'm going to come around to like the 2/3 mark, do a little bead pattern here, and then have my toggle just off to the side. So when the bracelet is on, it will be off to kind of this side. So I'll be able to see this lock and key. So that is my plan. I'm going to do a couple of sections of this. Pink, silver, pink, and I'm going to do my stringing off camera because I like the pattern play, and I like to spend a little time, you know, playing with the beads. I'll string a couple onto the wire, look at it, play with different configurations before I settle on one, and I know that's really boring. So I will like come up with that off camera, and then, you know, I'll come back and show you what I've come up with. That is so pretty. And I think what I want to do is maybe draw these together now. Let me try a pink. So as I said, I'm going to keep going a little bit, playing with my pattern to get around to where I'm going to add the clasp. So I'll come back. It'll just be a second for you. I'll keep going, keep playing, and I'll come back and show you what I came up with. So this is what I mean about really going slow and enjoying the pattern play. I just went into my stash in my silver bin to look for some disc spacers because I love these rondelles and I love the two-tone, that pink and blue, but I felt like that it would really like outline them if they had a little silver in between each of them. So I just went into my stash to play with some of the spacers that I have, and I've just been doing a little bit of on and off. I got these little kind of look like washers or gears from Amazon, and I don't even know where I've had these. They've been in my silver bin for a really long time. And they're kind of pretty and textural. They look really nice with the connector, with the keyhole connector. But I think I'm going to go for these little wavy disc spacers. I really like just that little slice of silver in between. So that's what I mean about like really enjoying the pattern play. And you know, so I pause and like try a couple of different things until I settle on what I really like. And I even do this quite a bit where I'll put it on my wrist and see if I like the way that it's going, and I really do. So I think I'm going to switch back to another area of the cylindrical beads with the seed beads, and keep going around to get my length. I'll put these little spacers over here because I may want more of them as I come around to the other side of the bracelet. So I'm going to keep going with my pattern play, and I will be back. So I've been playing with these beads and I love them so much. I'm laughing because this always happens to me when I start creating and designing, and when beads are this pretty, I just get in the zone. And so I kind of paused from this because when I got my length, I said, oh, but I have these hearts I didn't use. I wanted more of these cylinder beads. So I'm going to do a second bracelet that can be layered with this bracelet. And I also am going to be using one of the teal hearts in this bracelet. So I said, okay, it's going to be a whole set of earrings and stacking bracelets. So I just took like I can't get a hold of this ear wire. I just took like the leftover beads and did a couple of little heart earrings. And I, you know, have gone into my stash for a little piece of chain because that's going to be the closure on this line bracelet. That's going to be a beaded chain. And what else? I went into my stash and got some of these stardust beads. I had two sizes of them. I've got a little piece of Soft Flex 20 gauge craft wire here, and I've just made a little stack, and this is going to be my component on this end of the bracelet. So let's go ahead and make that. I am going to start by putting a simple loop in one end. So I want a pretty large loop in this end to go through the connector. So I'm going to use my 3mm one-step looper and just, well, it did not make that cut for me. Did you see that? That's funny that it didn't make the cut that it normally, the back jaw of the tool will make that little cut, and it didn't do it this time, but that's okay. I can assist. And then I'm just going to open this and attach it right here. I don't have this end even clamped off, and that is very dangerous. Let me close this and get a clamp. The reason I don't have it crimped is because I wanted to add my little connector that I'm going to make here and my toggle and check my length before I commit to this length, because I do have plenty of beads left if I need to make an adjustment. So let's get a clamp on the end, and now I can finish this off. So I'm going to start with a little small Stardust spacer bead, one of these little crystal rondelle spacers, a bead cap, and the little heart. And I do want it to be facing the same direction as my component. So let's see, I'm going to get a hold of it this way. And I can always make an adjustment after I wire wrap. So I'm doing that simple loop, I lost the word for simple loop, on one side, and I'm going to do a wire wrapped loop on this side. And that's just going to help to keep this heart facing the direction that I want it to. Sometimes I put a bead here because it is a little bit difficult to get your wraps down there on a heart-shaped bead, but I really wanted to see the shape of the heart, so I didn't do it this time. So I'm just going to go slowly and get it in there. As I wrap down to the heart, I'll make an adjustment to keep it facing the direction that I want. See if I can get one more wrap down there. And before I bring it around, I'm just going to use my pliers to zhuzh it in there. That's pretty good. Just want to make sure it's not sharp. And I'm going to do a final. And you see my loop got misaligned a little bit, but that's okay. 2 pairs of pliers and a simple adjustment. That looks good. Okay, so I am ready. That's moving freely. I am ready to add my little clasp. And out of that same 20 gauge wire, I have made a bunch of little jump rings. And I am going to start with the key right here, I think. And I'll start with 2 jump rings. I just know that T-bar or toggle clasp, and especially one that has a little bit of dimension, like this one is shaped like a little key, it will need a little bit of, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm talking. It will need a little bit of space, a little bit of chain, if you will, so that it can turn sideways and go inside the other end of the toggle. So I'm going to start with 2 of these really small jump rings just to create that space. And if I need to, if it's still not easy to clasp, I'll take it off and add a 3rd one even. These small jump rings are a little challenging because there's not a lot of space for your pliers, but they look so nice. Okay, so that will go through this end, and hopefully it won't be too difficult. So now I can check my length on this beauty. And let's see, I'm going to go this way and see if I crimp right onto there. Looks like I got my length just perfect. Okay, so we're going to do the final crimp on this bracelet. Let me get another. Did I take out another crimp bead? I did not. I have my little stash here. And I'm just going to repeat the same thing on this end with the crimp that I did on the other end. Just going to feed both of these wires through. And then I'm going to feed it through my, I can detach it from the key. This is so cute. Let's see, let me make sure I'm crimping in the right direction. And I'm going to feed this directly through, whoops, this way, directly through that toggle and back through the crimp tube. And I am pretty sure that I won't be able to feed this bead stringing wire through these rondelles. Though I can look at the hole and tell that I'm not going to be able to do that. Come on. It is a little bit tricky when you've got 4 wires going through a crimp tube to kind of get it where you need it. But I do it all the time. I just have to go more slowly, and sometimes you have to like pinch it there so that you can pull, and you can get your pliers in here to help. With that loop a little bit smaller. Okay, and now before I commit to this crimp, let me just see, I'm going to put it on this way, how I did with my length and how that little key goes through that lock. Oh, absolutely perfect. Look at that, you guys. This is the cutest bracelet. I got my length really, really good, and it's just beautiful no matter which way it turns around. Oh, I just love it. I'm so excited about it. Okay, now that I have that done, that little key back through that lock, and now I'm just going to do my final crimp, same thing that I did on the other end. Okay, I'm ready to trim away as closely as I can to my crimp bead. That is so pretty. And you guys, this ring is my Softflex wire ring, and that is pretty much all you need. So you can save your scraps for earrings, but also they make great rings. And if you didn't see this video, I will put a link to it in the description box, because it is super fun and super easy with the Softflex crimps, the magical crimping plier, and some 2-hole beads and a few seed beads. It is really fun. So this little bit of my bracelet is done, but I cannot stop there. I have to do some embellishments. So I went into my stash and I had these. I have no idea. I've had them for a million years. I have no idea where I got these. They might be a bead shop item that I picked up in my travels, but they just have a little rhinestone at the end, just a little silver like rhinestone, and I put it in the middle of the little lucite flower bead caps that were in the mix here, and I did 3 of those just like this, with one of the little check glass faceted rounds from the other mix, and I have decided to use this little key. And I'm going to do a little grouping right here with a jump ring that I made from the 20 gauge wire. I want to get a little bit larger jump ring because I want to attach it around the circumference around the whole circumference, so that this will move freely and spin 360 degrees. This little floral key is two-sided, and of course these are two-sided, so I'm just going to add this in really fast and then move to my next bracelet. So I'm going to, let's see, I'll put the key on first, and like I say, it doesn't really matter because it's going, however it turns around, this is all two-sided and will not get stuck. So I have this little charm section, and I'm going to come right here and over the entire stringing material. Like your normal inclination with adding charms or dangles is to put it inside another loop on the design, you know, a simple loop or your soft flex loop. But I do it this way, and that way, no matter which way I put the bracelet on or which way it goes on my wrist, that little section just spins around beautifully, and I can see my little charms. But I could not be happier with the way this turned out. Whoops, I have a little kink. There we go. I could not be happier with the way that this turned out. I think it is so sweet, and you know, I always love the poetry of jewelry making. It's there's a lot of metaphors for me, and a grateful heart is a heart that is filled with sweetness. So for me, all the sweet details on this piece, this kind of architectural salvage looking connector and the little rose key and the sweet little flowers, you know, a little bit of sparkle. To me, this is absolutely a poetic metaphor for a grateful heart. I absolutely love this. Soft Flex Company, you knocked it out of the park with this kit edition. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to set this aside and kind of clean up a little bit, and I am going to create a little line bracelet. Whoops, my earrings got buried in my oh my goodness, I just really want to, I have more work to do, but I just really want to play with these designs. It's just so lovely. So my plan is to use another one of those little sparkly head pins. This is going to be an adjustable chain bracelet, very thin line with some more elements from the collection that I can layer with that or wear alone, or even to wear with a watch. So on my final drop here, I will design something. I'm not sure what. This little flower, this, I'll make that determination after I have the length of my bracelet done. And I do have another little key that was just in my stash, so I think that's going to go on. And this is going to be a beaded chain, essentially. So I think what I'm going to do is make two little sections. I'm going to go with my 2¼ millimeter one-step looper and make a component and just kind of show you what I'm thinking. I think that all of these will just be individual with no, nothing complicated, like just this. I'm just going to thread it on and just turn that cylinder bead into a component. So it's this easy, this fast, and as I say, you can totally do your simple loops with your pliers if you like to do them that way. For me, when I'm making chain, and I did this bracelet I did this week as well, and it was a lot of loops, and even with the one-step looper, I was dealing with a little bit of hand trouble. That happens to me sometimes, so I use the one-step looper because of my hands. And I got this one a little bit, I don't normally have to do this much adjusting, but for some reason on this one I did. But that's my plan there, and I'm going to get a little bit more wire and do that same thing with, I'm going to do that same thing, just put a simple loop in one end of my wire and just kind of create a little component here. and I'm going to use all 4 of the hearts, so I'm going to do 2 little components like this, and I'm just going to create a pattern of the check glass faceted round. I love those 7mm beads, the last 4 cylinder beads that I have, these little hearts, and I'm just going to make whatever length I can, and then this will finish up the length on my bracelet, and I'll use the lobster claw that came in the box. It's right here, and then it can clasp anywhere on this chain and be adjustable, and you know, you can even do an anklet this way. I have a couple of videos where I've done anklets that way. So I am going to make all these components and connect, and I'll come back. It'll just be a second for you, and I'll show you my second stack of my layering bracelet. Okay, my mat is kind of cleaned up, and my little line bracelet, my little beaded chain is mostly connected. I'm on the last one, and I really think I'm going to be able to wear this as an anklet or a bracelet because of the adjustability on the chain. So let me just close this, and since I did that medium size simple loop here, the 2 1/4, I don't need a jump ring because these loops are large enough to add on to the chain and to each other and still move freely and not be stuck. So as you can see, it's like really a nice fluid chain. And then what I did on the end of the chain is just took a couple more of those little sparkly head pins that I had, and just all the elements that are appearing in the design for a couple of little drops. So this one on the last link, and this little flower on the link above. And then I created a couple of more little dangles, and what I'm going to do, I think, is put them right here, right over that intersection. Let's see, I'm going to add this tiny little jump ring to the key because I want it to like really dangle. It's amazing how much movement a jump ring can give you in anything really, but especially when the charm is this little. Make sure it's closed really well. And I'm going to open this and add everything on. Add this little key, this little check glass charm, this little flower. Oh, I'm about to close it without attaching it to my bracelet. And I'm going to come right here and do that same thing. I'm going to add that jump ring around the circumference so that no matter which way I connect this, or if I do wear it as an anklet, the charms move 360 degrees, just to get my plier inside this jump ring and just make sure that it's closed really well. I can see that it's not a perfect circle. I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist with my jewelry, and I will take the time for all those little details, and I just feel so much happier when I'm done. You know, I know the quality is there. So I have another sweet little dangle section, and then I do have to put my lobster claw clasp. I'm going to add it right to the end here, and then it can clasp anywhere on this chain to make it tighter or looser. So let me grab another jump ring. Okay, I'm going to use one of these really small ones that I made out of the same wire that I'm using for everything else. And I love it. The wire matches, but it's also got an anti-tarnish coating on it. And I will put my anti-tarnish Permalac coating on this lobster claw. I'll brush it over all the silver metal, my little key, the little stardust charm. When I'm all finished, I always take my Permalac coating and any of the metal, these little cool little disc spacers. I love those. I keep replenishing those in my stash, but they do need a little coating so that they won't tarnish. But this piece is done. I just love it. It can clasp, it can go with my other bracelet as a layering piece. I just love them together. I know it's a little bit busy with the bracelet that I had on, but I'll put some pictures up at the end of the video so you can have a really close look at the detail and the patterns. But I am just thrilled with this. Is the sweetest kit. I mean, I love the Softflex company. I am an avid user of their wire. It's my favorite of all the bead stringing wires out there. And, you know, they're just very sweet people that run the company, just nice to work with. It's a small business. But this month, they just did an amazing job with their kit. And for me, this is just timeless. So don't forget to check my description box. I work really hard on my description boxes. I'll put a link to my bracelet video, a link to my ring, anything that I've used, my tools, anything that I've used that I think you might be interested in for your own work. I have a lot of things in my stash from decades of making jewelry. So sometimes I have things like these keys. I don't remember where I got them, but if I know where they came from and they're still available, I will link those things in the description box. So you have to tap more under this video, and then on mine usually more a second time to see the entire box. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. See you in the next video. Ciao, jewelry making friends.